All right, Ronan MMA, welcome back to the channel. Yesterday, Islam Makhachev was accused of cheating via IV to rehydrate. We are going to go over that whole saga start to finish. I know that I'm a little bit late on this, but I did want to wait and make sure that everything that was relevant came out before I made a video, and I am glad I did, because had I made it in the afternoon when I initially saw the news, then I would have missed a lot of stuff in my video. So we're going to get into all that. But before we do, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate your subscription. I'm going to thank you in advance because I'm Canadian, so thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, don't be the kind of guy that doesn't do the thing that he's already been thanked for 3 times, dude. I went overboard, okay? And I'm going to try and just ramble on for about another minute because I want to address something that I will probably swear when I do. So I'm trying to push the time past 2 minutes or whatever that mark is. So just please subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And okay, I'll just do it. Screw it, dude. I want to address one community in particular before this video starts, because probably just based on the thumbnail, I'm going to upset that community. If they had a brain, they would realize that they would end up being very surprised by my take, because I have the only correct take here that I've seen so far. So I want to address the DDR community. Okay. And when I say the DDR community, I don't mean, the game that Asian kids were really good at in the arcades of movie theaters. I'm not talking about Dance Dance Revolution. Okay. DDR, I'm talking about Dagestani deck riders. You guys like their decks, okay? I can't... dude, I have never wanted to hate a fighter more in my life than I want to hate Islam Makhachev right now. And I guess the same applies for Khabib. I never really had to deal with this when Khabib was around, though, because I didn't make videos. But the Dagestani Dick Rider Club, DDRC, okay, is the worst fan base in all of professional sports anywhere. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I don't watch other sports, so I'll just say in fighting in general. Worst fan base by far, bar none, like full stop, no cap, all of the fucking cliche shit that kids say nowadays. None of it, okay? Y'all are garbage. Because you're the only fan base that can't take any words about your fighter that are not the utmost positive words you could possibly imagine. And it is literally insane. I have never said a bad thing about Islam Makhachev except for saying that he looked like a homeless crackhead for weigh-ins, which he did. Okay, it's objective, so you can't get mad at me for that. He looked like a homeless crackhead, and if you were not a UFC fan, you would have no idea, and you would see him up on stage, and you'd be like, hey, why is that homeless crackhead up there doing this? Okay. But besides that, I've never said a bad word about him ever. And in my video that has almost like 600 views now, which is the biggest, most views I've had by far, which is unfortunate that it's not comparable to the video where I picked this fight prior to the fight, because I literally have full-on retards in my comment section asking me if I lost money on the fight or something, as if I didn't do a video, the day or two before the fight, calling it to a T perfectly. I said that percent-wise, this was 52-48. I said that Islam Makhachev would not be able to finish Alexander Volkanovski. He wouldn't be able to sub him based on the guy that Alexander Volkanovski grapples with on a day-to-day basis. I said that Islam would do enough to eke out enough rounds to skate by the skin of his teeth against a smaller guy in a decision. You guys are that fucking... you guys love Dagestani dick, don't ya? When Alexander Volkanovski was in that body triangle, right? At the end, what was it, the 4th round, where he was in there for a good few minutes. You guys would have loved to be put in that body triangle by Islam Makhachev. Just be honest. I know it's haram and all that jazz, but you guys would have loved to be in that body triangle so that Islam Makhachev could have saw it in my eyes. Okay, now, despite all you brain dead DDRs out there, okay, I have to remain objective because I'm not going to punish Islam for his horrible, God-forsaken fan base that loves the taste of his cum. So, Islam Makhachev was accused of cheating via an IV drip. First tweet here up on the screen. Islam is a cheat. Oh wait, no, that is not the first tweet that he did of this. Actually, this one would be the first tweet. This was the first one. Dumb cunt thinks he can fly to Australia, hire a nurse to give him an IV, and we won't find out. Cheating dog. All right, Dan. Now, whoa, that was wrong. Right away when I saw this tweet, the first thing that I thought was, beg my pardon, you can't do that, Dan Hooker. You don't get to make a serious accusation like that without providing any evidence whatsoever. Okay. That was my first thought. Then this tweet came out. He doesn't cheat, he doesn't win. Okay, so he's being cryptic at this point, which is fine, because he's probably trying to not catch a defamation suit. Which is the only part of me that made me think that this might actually be legit was me keeping in mind that Ali is Islam's manager, and I know that dude's a savage when it comes to, this kind of shit. So, I mean business practices in general. He seems like a very aggressive business person, and that's not a bad thing. He's just, squared away. He's, got one of the most probably successful stable of fighters out of any manager that exists today. And then we've got this one, Islam is a cheat, and this was replying to someone. Pardon me, I just made it smaller so it didn't cover my entire face. So Islam is a cheat, he says. Okay, now I figured, okay, this is a pretty serious accusation. And then the tweet that bugged me the most was when Dan Hooker, and I am a big Dan Hooker fan, when Dan Hooker said, prove me wrong, bet you can't. That's not how shit works, Dan Hooker. You don't get to make an accusation that serious, which could potentially result in a 2-year suspension, as he noted himself by putting up the screenshot of Google. Without you can't do that. You can't do that without providing any evidence. That's bullshit, dude. That is like bullshit. I can't stand that. That is unironically what so many, horrible media outlets do and shit, where they just the court of public opinion destroy somebody who's entire, dude, I mean, I'm not a Johnny Depp dick rider or anything, because I don't ride other man's dicks, but you know what I mean. He was found guilty in the court of public opinion way before he had a fair day in court in the United States of America, because the UK sucks. Okay. And then we found out that he indeed was not as guilty as he was made out to be. And you know what I mean? You don't get to just make accusations and provide no proof. That's not how shit works. That's not how anything's worked ever. If you're making the positive claim, you provide the proof. You're accusing somebody of cheating, and you just say he cheated. And I thought that was a little bitch of Dan Hooker. I wasn't one of these DDRs though who just started calling him a salty loser because Dan Hooker's got like more losses than Nate Diaz. So why is he not salty towards Dustin Poirier, or why is he not salty towards Michael Chandler, or why is he not salty towards one of them, Arnold Allen, one of the many men who have fucked him up? Okay, Edson Barbosa, tons of guys. You know what I mean? And my initial thought was, okay, well, I need to see evidence, but if I had to bet my life on it right now, whether or not I thought Islam used an IV, not whether or not he cheated, whether or not he used an IV, I would probably say yes. If it was like gun to my head, my beard is stuck to my mic right on, dude. If it was gun to my head and I had to choose if I had to basically make a guess without any evidence, I would say yeah, because he looked like a homeless crackhead, and homeless crackheads tend to be dehydrated. Okay. And unfortunately, well, you'll see in my thumbnail, there are pictures that, actually do show pretty well a IV bruise. I will pull one of them up for you. I should have had it ready, but I didn't think I would even bother. But just since we're talking about it, So we got this picture right here I found. I know I saw a lot of the other ones that people were using. I just wanted to find my own picture, so I did some sleuthing. You can see it right in here in the well of his elbow on his left side. This picture was posted on February 11th. And you can see, people will say that's just a crease or a bruise, or not a bruise. People will say that's a crease or a shadow or whatever. To me, it's pretty clear that that's a bruise. That was posted a few hours before the fight. There was some idiot who said in my comments that the rules weren't followed because per UFC rules, which is hilarious because it's not per UFC rules. It's whatever fucking commission they go to, you brain dead moron. The UFC is a promotion, okay? You brain dead moron. They said that Islam only got 3 to 6 hours to rehydrate, which is the most brain dead fucking take I've ever seen ever. Because that guy clearly didn't pay attention to anything leading up to the fight at all whatsoever. Because the weigh-ins were clearly the fucking day before. And if you're 6 years old and you can do a little bit of math, you could discover, based on your own accord, that was not 3 to 6 hour rehydration period. He received 3 to 6 hour less, being the key word, less hydration hours than they would have had they been in the States. It's due to the time change. It sucks. It applied to everyone. You idiot. Okay? Rules weren't followed, therefore Islam champ. Okay. I wonder how happy they are that Volkanovski's still the number 1 pound for pound king. Let's go. Pound for pound. What? Okay? You guys are bitches. Straight up. Bitches. Okay? Moving on, dude, because fuck them. But anyways, I thought that was a pretty good picture, where you could see the IV bruise. His veins weren't particularly bulgy. He didn't look like all shredded like he did at the weigh-ins and all that jazz, so I thought it was a better representation of what the well of his arm may have looked like due to an IV. No problem. By the way, that vein on that side of his body remained pretty raised until fight day. And once you've gotten an IV, I don't know if anybody's gotten an IV, but I broke my arm in half when I was a child, and I had to get it reset, so I had to get an IV because they put me under. It remains bruised and or swollen, right, for 2 to 4 days, basically. So that's that. But which every time I see his left arm, his vein in that well looks much bigger than the other one. But again, this is all circumstantial evidence that he used an IV. This has nothing to do with whether or not he cheated. And I think that this take's going to surprise a lot of people. But I think that the blame for this misunderstanding here lies with, and solely lies with, management. Well, it's not solely, because I'm going to give 2 people that are to blame. management, and the fighters them fucking selves. Okay? Volkanovski, Dan Hooker, all of them, dude. Read the fucking rules, bro. Read the rules. This is almost as inexcusable as Petr Yan not knowing that he can't knee Aljamain Sterling when he's on the ground like that. You're a fucking champion. Know the goddamn rules. I'm going to pull it up right here. Thank you, John Morgan. Okay. What's the IV rule? Half my face is gone. All IV infusions and or injections of more than 100 milliliters, 6 to 8 tablespoons per 12-hour period are prohibited at all times, both in and out of competition, except for those legitimately received in hour out of competition in the course of the hospital treatment, surgical procedures, clinical diagnosis, investigation, and or received that are determined to be medically justified. That's a big keyword right there, medically justified. And within the standard of care by a licensed physician and administered by the licensed medical professional without an approval for therapeutic use exemption. Okay, I'm going to leave that not over there and I don't want to cover my sword. Fuck it, dude. We'll just cut off some of my head. Yeah, that's a pretty important paragraph right there. Because basically what that is saying is that IVs are not inherently fucking illegal. IVs are illegal if blah, 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 blah. And the reason why I would imagine that is because there are third-party companies that have no ties to doctors or hospitals whatsoever that you can hire to come to your house to give you like a vitamin drip if you're hungover, or even just like, for fun. Like, I don't know why anybody would want to do that for fun, but that's okay. So medical fucking, what does it say again? What are the words? Medically justified and within the standard of care by a licensed physician. Now, I think the reason for those particular words is because back in the day, when it wasn't as regulated, you could probably get away with putting a lot of shit in your IV that you should not have been able to get away with. So they basically say, I'm going to fucking sneeze, which is super unfortunate. Bless myself. Alhamdulillah. That's what my sneeze sounded like. That's why they want a doctor administrating it. That's why they want you under supervision and it to be given to you by a doctor or whatever. And that's why they want you to have a therapeutic, use exemption. Now, dehydration is covered under those medically justified reasons, which would allow you to get a therapeutic use exemption. And then one might ask, well, then why isn't every fighter doing it? Because any fighter that makes weight is inherently dehydrated by definition. They have sucked all of the fucking water out of their body to make 155 pounds when that man should and normally weighs 190 pounds or whatever the fuck he weighs. Okay, Marvin Vettori walks around 235, weighs in at 185. Bro, I weigh more than 185. I'm fucking 5'10". What are we doing? What are you talking about? You're dehydrated. Every fighter is, by definition. And that was what I thought too. Well, okay, why did he get special treatment? No, because it's not special treatment. None of the fighters involved in this accusation obviously knew the rules. Because what it would seem like right now, the fact that the first statements that get made by USADA and then things get reported on by journalists and then somebody like John Morgan posts this exemption use, that the route that they're kind of going is, well, he didn't use it, but if he did, it was actually allowed. I feel like they wouldn't even throw that part in. I mean, maybe they would just to inform people you actually can use an IV. It's not like you're just immediately suspended for rehydrating via IV. It's a pretty fucking lack rule, dude. Slack rule, whatever. It's lacking in fucking discipline. They were trying to ban IVs and they went, yeah, well, you can't use them just over there. You can use them over here and you can just say you're dehydrated. That's like hardly what I would have imagined is on the list of medical exemptions. But the thing is that this is on the fighters for not knowing these rules, because if every fighter took the time to read the rules, like, as if they were fucking autistic, like, I got hyper-analyzing them. Hyper-analyzing them? I don't know the word there. Whatever, dude. You know what the fuck I'm trying to say, Kay. If you went full-on autist with it and read every rule word for word and interpreted it like you know what I mean, and you would know this, and therefore every fucking fighter that had a bad weight cut could be getting IVs. Now, maybe I'll say this, maybe the UFC doctors or the UFC staff were a little quick with Islam to get him a medical exemption and get him the IVs going and all that, than they would be with somebody like on the prelims, because Islam was one half of the main event of one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year, and they had already warned the people doing the weigh-in show, like Michael Bisping and whatnot, that be prepared for Islam to not make weight. Which is so funny. This is another point for you DDRs, okay? That he barely beat Volkanovski if he beat him. I still think 235 on damage. I think I saw one actual argument in my comment section for that had anything to do with the actual scoring criteria. Judge fight as whole. No. If I judge the fight as a whole, Volkanovski definitely wins. Because what the fuck are we doing here? If this was Pride, he'd win. But regardless, like, I don't know why I even went off on that. Islam. Oh, yeah, that because he barely beat him when he cut a ton of weight, used an IV to rehydrate and all that jazz. Imagine if he didn't. That's what people are wondering. That's why people are getting upset about this. What if he didn't use an IV? You know, because here's the thing, dude. Josh Emmett looked like he could have used a fucking IV. Right? And he was in the co-main event fighting for a piece of UFC gold. He was fighting for the featherweight interim title. So it seems like, from the outside looking in, it seems like a little bit of like special treatment going on, where if someone who's important to the company needs help, then they give it to them, right? But technically then, every fighter who makes weight could go see a doctor first thing and get a medical exemption, like therapeutic whatever shit, and get an IV. Now, I don't think it would have made much of a difference for Volk, dude, but it would have made a difference for Islam. Islam probably would have been flatlined had he not had an IV. And I know they're still kind of trying to stick with the story that he didn't have an IV. I don't believe that personally. I think he did. I think that there's enough circumstantial evidence, and then the fact that USADA's first statement is to, like, let you know that there's an exemption for this sort of thing. I think that kind of points to the direction that it more likely happened, but it doesn't matter because he didn't break the rules, because they wouldn't have done this. The UFC would have made sure it was on the up and up, or, you know, yeah, they would have made sure before they went and stuck this dude with a needle, knowing that other fighters are going to see it and all that. But it bugs me that, like, Josh Emmett wasn't offered one. You should have a doctor that if not, man, if every fighter's not going to get one, because, like, they should, but if every fighter's not going to get one, you should at least have a doctor on standby. Fucking beard keeps getting stuck, dude. You should at least have a doctor on standby who is observing every single fighter that walks in, and they should pick, like, the ones that look like they're about to die. Josh Emmett looked like a skeleton. Like, literally looked like he should be in a biology classroom. And Islam Makhachev looked like he should be in an alleyway in downtown Vancouver. Okay, British Columbia. Because that whole fucking city has turned into a cesspit of homeless people. It's disgusting. Fucking hell. But, it seems like, regardless, despite whether or not he used an IV, He's not guilty of cheating. So, Dan Hooker, next time, make sure you read the rules correctly. Maybe you could have used an IV rehydrating for Arnold Allen and you wouldn't have been finished in fucking half a round or whatever it was, dude. Like, know the fucking rules. You guys are professionals. This is your job. You should be fucking... Dude, this shit makes me mad. All of them should have read top to bottom scoring criteria. All of them should have read top to bottom the rules, the unified rules of the actual bout itself in the, like, you know what I mean, in the fight. And they should all be reading exemption because, dude, before Connor went and said, hey, I'm retiring so I can juice up and fix my fucking leg, nobody knew that that was an option. And then TJ Dillashaw did it immediately after. Know the fucking rules. You all could have been taking advantage of this. Whether you agree with the rule or not, it's there. Use it. Like, if it's to your advantage, use it. You all use weight cutting. You know what I mean? To get a size advantage. If you're allowed a medical exemption for an IV due to hydration, they should all be complaining to a doctor the second they've made weight that they are dehydrated and they need an IV. So anyways, those are my thoughts. I hope that the DDRs actually make it past like a few minutes into the video, because otherwise they're just going to hear me shitting on them, which is fine. That makes me happy. But they're going to assume based on the thumbnail, like many of them did in my video, that I just shat all over Islam in my video, my recap video. I can come to a different conclusion on rounds and not be like a brain dead idiot. I never called anybody that scored it the other way. Okay. And buddy, Brian Campbell is not who I would turn to when there is a close fight, right? When I wanted someone who's got expertise in judging, I would not turn to Brian Campbell. I've read the criteria many times, which I would imagine 90% of you haven't. And because I'm an autist, I watched the fight on half speed, slowed down to quarter speed when I needed to. I came to a different conclusion. Doesn't make me an idiot. I didn't call any of you guys idiots. I didn't shit on Islam, yet they all act like I did. Worst fan base in UFC history. Fuck you. Okay, those are my thoughts though. Seems like Islam did not cheat, but may have used an IV. And, yeah. See ya. Like and subscribe, please. And thank you in advance for your subscription. See you later.